Witch, I'm Luna Seranova, and you're listening to Good Witch, Bad Bitch. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited today because we are talking all about your Venus sign and what that means for you. So obviously this is a planet that is very important to me in astrology because I love all things feminine, divine feminine, beauty, glamour, pleasure, love, all those things. So I thought it would be a really great thing to talk about and kind of help you to look through your own chart, figure out what that says about you, and also what you can bring into your life to really honor your Venus placement. So thank you so much for being here. And for those of you listening on Spotify or wherever you listen, this is also a video podcast. So if you want to check out the video aspect of it, feel free to come hang out on YouTube and you can see the vibes. So yeah, we're talking about your Venus sign. And so if you are new to astrology or still just like you don't really fully understand what your Venus sign means, we're going to talk all about it. So, obviously when we get into astrology, we hear a lot about your sun, moon, and your rising, but not a lot about your Venus. And it's a really important sign and it says a lot about you. And this is something too that like when people are like, I'm a Scorpio and my partner's a Libra, like, is this a bad match? I'm like, babe, sun sign's not gonna tell you shit. Like your sun sign's good. It's not gonna tell you like anything about your relationship, really. You want to look at your Venus sign, you want to look at your Mars sign, your moon sign's important. And those are the main ones that I like to look at when analyzing a relationship, because your Venus sign, it is how you show love, how you best receive love. You can think of it as like a love language. It's also like what is sexy to you, what brings you pleasure, what brings you joy, what lights you up. And like you can even see like your kinks based on your Venus sign. It's really, really fun. You can kind of see like how kinky somebody might be. It's really funny with that. I have a couple of jokes about that. We'll get into that later maybe. But yes, so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So if you want to find out your Venus sign, definitely do so now. If you don't know, you can pull up your chart. And really, I like using astro.com, and you can just put in your birth information and see where Venus lives for you, what sign, what house. Very important to look at both of those things, in my opinion. And I think too, also apps like CoStar and all the other little astrology apps, if you don't really feel comfortable using like a chart casting website, those should still tell you your Venus sign. Venus is, if you're looking for the symbol, she's like a circle with a cross basically underneath her. So that's kind of like the vibe. So yeah, look at your Venus sign, check it out, and start with that, because you need to know that before we get started. Now, going through each of the signs, I just wanted to give a little bit of a breakdown what your Venus sign might mean, some of the characteristics you might see in it. So let's start with Venus in Aries. So Venus in Aries, this is someone spicy. They like any fire sign Venuses. They're going to be very spicy. They're going to want that fire in their life. Venus in Aries, these are people who might really like change. If we're looking at like the kinks for Venus in Aries, they might like, I really see Venus in Aries as like being a bratty sub because of Aries. Like that's a very Aries thing. They might like a lot of change too, so keep it spicy. If you're an Aries Venus, like change it up for you. Do things differently. And outside of like your sex life, just like really let yourself enjoy a little charcuterie board of life. Like really take in as much as you want, as little as you want, but really take in a big like variety of what brings you pleasure. Have many hobbies, like play around with stuff like that. And yeah, really have fun with it. Venus and Aries, they are really fun and love, very much like I think, very complimentary. Like they really dote on you as a person, like as a partner. A very fun Venus sign. Now we've got Venus in Taurus. I love Venus in Taurus. Okay, I love Venus in Taurus because Taurus is in its happy place when it's in Venus, right? Because Venus rules both Taurus and Libra. So both of those placements are going to be very happy right there in their home signs. So a Taurus Venus is very sensual. Like they're all about the feelings. They're all about like the coziness, the comforts, quality over quantity for sure, whereas Aries is a lot more like quantity, fast now. Taurus Venus, they just like really want to indulge and really fully immerse themselves in love and pleasure and everything like that. I generally, and obviously it's different based on like your other signs, your Mars sign would be very important as well. So like definitely look at both of those when you're kind of analyzing yourself. But Venus and Taurus I do see as a very physical touch kind of person, or like when we're thinking of love languages, like gifts and stuff like that, just because they really, really like nice things, and that's totally fine. Then we've got Venus and Gemini, and Venus and Gemini gets a lot of hate. The air signs excluding Libra kind of are a little funky, I think, in Venus, because it's very detached from the body. Obviously, that's like kind of a weird thing when you think of being like in Venus. So when we've got Gemini in Venus, this is somebody who definitely needs a lot of stimulation, a lot of intellectual connection with their partner. They need someone who they can really carry a conversation with and tell them about things and like kind of just really have a strong intellectual connection. They are not going to love clinginess. Venus and Geminis, they will, I mean, I think they're a lot more into like polyamory, just because both Venus and Gemini and Venus and Aquarius they need a lot of different things, similar to Aries, but different in the way that they just don't necessarily love commitment. And obviously that is totally, up to you as a person. Like you can choose to be monogamous. You can recognize that maybe you have like a little bit of a flirty tendency, but you choose to keep it like under wraps or whatever to be in a monogamous relationship. And also you might be a Venus and Gemini and not feel poly at all. And that's totally fine. This is just some things I've definitely seen with Venus and Gemini. They definitely need a lot of change, a lot of stimulation, a lot of new experiences, things like that. Then we've got Venus and Cancer. Venus and Cancer is very sweet, very emotional, very much someone who is so emotionally involved in their relationships, someone who might often take on the role of the caretaker. They're very much like, I could see them having so much fun in like such a deep spiritual relationship, like a relationship where you're so on the same spiritual level and just like intuitive with each other and so connected in that way. Very, very loving, very romantic, very emotional, in how you love and everything like that. And then we've got Venus in Leo. Woo! Venus in Leo, hello. This is somebody who I think not only loves to receive love and attention, but also loves to give it. These are people who are like, I think, very like vocal about their love and very much like would post their partners on their Instagram and stuff like that. Very like big displays of affection. This could be another gift-giving love language, or like honestly all the love languages. This is probably someone who just like really likes to be creative with their partner, be able to fully be themselves, have fun, and like a lot of times when you're in a very long lasting relationship, one of my favorite parts about it is that you know each other so well that you can be so silly with each other. And I think that sort of connection is so Venus and Leo. Then we've got Venus and Virgo, and this is really cute. I love the Earth Venus. I think it's just like so beautiful. Venus in Virgo is going to be somebody who is very, very, very giving, very much just like wants their partner to succeed, wants their partner to be their best, wants to take care of their partner and be of service for their partner. So this is very much like an acts of service kind of person. Like, I think that they are very selfless and also kind of require a bit of that really nurturing love and very much like soft, but also very reliable. So this is definitely somebody who would be more into like monogamy and like very much they want to be tied down. Like, I don't think a Venus and Virgo person would necessarily, depending on their Mars sign, be very interested in like, you know, one night stands or like, you know, kind of hoeing around, if you will. So yeah, definitely somebody who's more interested in like building a relationship, building a family, building like an empire with their partner. Okay, cool. What's next? Libra, Venus in Libra. So we love to see it. We love to see it. Venus in Libra, again, is another very, very happy placement because Libra is in her home in Venus. So this is like a very bubbly, because we bring in that air sign energy, but this is the one air sign that's like so comfy in Venus. Very bubbly, very flirty, very like girly kind of, very much like somebody who wants to flirt and like wants to be romanced in the same way that Taurus wants to be romanced in like the like I want so much quality. Libra, Venus in Libra is a lot more of like, give me just like the romance, like give me the compliments, give me the like open the door for me, buy me flowers, like a very, very pretty, very cute, romantic, kind of like teenage dream energy is kind of the vibe that I get. And again, someone who like you can just talk to, like they want somebody who will listen to them and will spend time with them and really just have such a loving relationship. Yeah. Okay. Next, Venus in Scorpio. I'm just literally running through the signs in my head, so I'm trying not to forget any. Just going in order. Venus in Scorpio, woo-wee, spicy folks. This is somebody who really wants like depth in their relationship. They are so different than like what we just talked about with Venus and Libra. They want to just know the deep depths of their partner's soul and connect on such a spiritual and deep emotional level. This is someone who just wants to be fully immersed in their relationships and love. They can be a little bit like closed off sometimes, but I think it's just dependent on a lot of stuff. But I think a lot of times there is a bit of like a guard that Venus and Scorpio puts up because they do feel so deeply in their relationship and they do like really desire that depth. And I think there's sometimes like a fear of what happens if my partner doesn't accept my depths, or what happens if I really reveal myself to this person. But it is really a beautiful sign and I really love to see it. Okay, next we have Venus in Sagittarius. This is a very spicy, again, sign. This is someone who wants a lot of fun in their relationship, a lot of like stimulation, a lot of creativity, a lot of passion, a lot of joy, a lot of just like a lot. Someone who wants a lot, okay? And that's fine. They just need to like team up with somebody who also is down for that energy. This is somebody who like maybe their love language would be more about getting out into the world and doing things together. So a lot of that quality time. Yeah, a lot of passion in fire sign Venuses, but definitely someone who wants to like experience the world with you and go out and do stuff. And I think they bring a really fun energy to the table. And they're very spicy. And they're very, again, someone who I think needs a lot of excitement in their love life. And then we've got Venus in Capricorn, and this is someone who is so reliable. I have one of my besties is a Venus in Capricorn, and I think that it's such a beautiful placement because people with a Capricorn Venus really, I feel like they bypass emotions and they just so deeply want to take care of you and want to do things for you and want you to be happy. And it's done in not a lovey-dovey kind of way. It's done in a very just like, let me do this for you, let me help you. Like, I will do whatever you need. Like, this was my best friend, and they like, whenever I was super depressed, would come over and clean my apartment for me. Things like that. Very acts of service, very much just like, let me take care of you. Similar to Virgo, but I think a little bit less nurturing and emotionally involved, and more just, not that they're not emotionally involved, but more just like they show their love in how they can be helpful, how they can be useful. Which is the same as a Venus Virgo, a Venus in Virgo. But I would say Venus and Virgo people want to also assist you in like working through your emotions, whereas Capricorns, they just want to do it for you. They just want to help you and get you feeling better, basically. So yeah, very much acts of service. Then we've got Aquarius Venus. This is my specific sign. And Aquarius Venus, they are they're very interesting. And I'm going to be harsher on Aquarius Venus because I'm an Aquarius Venus, and I'm just like going to be so real with you guys because like I've experienced it and I don't feel bad saying these things. And I have a lot of friends who have their Venus in Aquarius, and they definitely can corroborate this, that there is this weird, and I think this also happens with Venus and Gemini, where there is this like weird, like back and forth, I guess. Like they kind of just want to, they'll be like so involved and so obsessed with this person, and then they'll just like, nah, like it's just gone, you know. So it's very much, there can be, I think oftentimes, a very hot and cold energy. But I can say that's not how it is always. Like I definitely had times where that's how I expressed my romance. But then when I'm in love with somebody, like I at least recognize like, okay, I'm getting into my bitchy mood and I just need to like chill because I'm just like being weird or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's something you can like be aware of. Venus and Aquarius, those folks are freaky. Those folks can be crazy in relationships. They can be very, very, let's just say they can be very quite spicy in the bedroom because think of it, Aquarians, they're very like, they're up for anything. Okay, so very interesting, very fun. Being an air sign, they are very into compliments, like words of affirmation, stuff like that. And again, similar to Venus and Gemini, they need someone that they can talk to. Not in like a listen to my emotions, but like a, we need to be able to have interesting conversations and debates and talk about crazy conspiracies and ideas. And my husband's actually a Venus in Gemini and I'm a Venus in Aquarius. And it's very interesting because I have noticed that we both so deeply really just love our conversations. Like we will sit there and just talk about the weirdest shit and just like discuss these weird scenarios and like philosophies and stuff. And he is very much just like, he wants to talk about like the depths of it, and I want to talk about like the weirdness of it. And it's just really funny to see how we have such a similar love style because we do have very complementary Venus signs, which is obviously really, really nice. And lastly, we'll talk about Venus and Pisces. They are the sweet babies. If you have a partner who's a Venus in Pisces, I would just write them poetry and just like read to them and just love on them because, I mean, these are very deeply poetic and romantic and emotional people. So definitely like show up for them in that way. And if you are a Pisces Venus, understand that like, first of all, such a cute placement. It's great. But like you do require a lot of love, and that's totally valid and fine. Because yeah, you might just like really need a lot of love and like a lot of romance, and you're not going to accept anything less really. And you need someone who is going to be able to talk about feelings and talk about what you're going through and help you work through those things. So a very emotional, very depthful, deep sign, I guess. And so yeah, and we can take these really, I know these are super quick descriptions, but take these and just like ponder it and how it shows up for you. And this is going to relate to how you love your relationships, how you experience self-care, and also how you find beauty in the world. So really look at this. I know for me, like having a Venus in Aquarius, I need to be able to I think this is why I love learning so much. Like I actually really miss going to college because just being in an educational setting was just, it fed my soul and it made me so happy. And I think this is why I love reading nonfiction. Like I'm not a huge fiction person. I have to actually force myself to read fiction books because I just want to learn. And the weirder the better. Like give me some like crazy new age shit, you know what I'm saying? So I recognize that like I need to have education and ways to get knowledge and ways to learn new things in my life because that brings me a lot of joy and happiness. And I think also recently I've realized how much I need community, like how much I put so much value on my community. And that's really a way that I receive a lot of love is through my community, through my people, through helping others and being of service. And, we think of Aquarius as the water bearer. They hold the, that depth, that feeling for other people. They like are a container for that. And I really do feel the most useful when I'm helping my friends or helping you guys like through feelings and through these questions of life, and like being that water bearer is so important to me. And I'll give you this example, my example, and you can look at your chart. This is where we'll bring in the houses. So I have a Venus in Aquarius in my 10th house, okay? That makes a lot of sense if you think about it, okay? Because 10th house is all about like how we present ourselves to the public, our career and our legacy, things like that. And so it makes a lot of sense that what I feel called to do right now in my life is share like beauty and creativity and pleasure, Venus, with my community and with the collective, you guys, obviously, by like making YouTube videos and like using my voice and things like that, all in my 10th house of career, right? So it's really interesting to see that and to see how that plays out and where I'm going to find a lot of my joy. And I mean, you guys probably know if you've been watching for a while that I love what I do. Like I love like being, although I have like no Leo placements, I love being on stage. I love being perceived most of the time. And I love like talking and being able to have a voice, which is all like very relative to the 10th house Venus. You know what I'm saying? So really interesting to see which house your Venus is in. That'll tell you where you can find a lot of self-care and pleasure in your day-to-day life. Okay, so really please do check that out because I think that having the knowledge of the house placement of our Venus can really help us to take like practical steps to enjoy the knowledge of what we've learned today. So now I want to talk about using your Venus sign in Glamour Magic because you guys know I love Glamour Magic. So what I want you to do is think about what we've talked about already with your Venus sign, how that kind of shows up for you in your life, and think about how that could relate to your personal style and your aesthetic preferences. For a while, I was kind of having a hard time with thinking like, okay, Venus in Aquarius for me, like how is that playing into my style? Because a big thing when we think about like Aquarius aesthetically is very, I don't know, for me, like very kind of like futuristic, a lot of like silvers and metallics and blues and greens and gray, things like that. Also black too. And I felt like that's not necessarily true for like how I enjoy presenting. what's interesting for me, and this is the case for you too, if you have a Taurus or Libra rising, that makes Venus your ruling planet. So that's something that was helpful for me, because looking then at my Taurus rising, I do think I present a lot more in a Taurus rising kind of way, obviously being my rising sign. But how I've noticed my Aquarius Venus really present itself is through the ability of having a new style every day, like not tying myself down to one specific look or style or color palette. And it is so true. And it, for a long time, I was like, okay, like, what is my style? And I had like a Pinterest board. I still reference my Pinterest board. But it felt like choosing a style was so limiting, which is so Aquarius Venus, kind of what I was saying with Aquarius and Gemini Venus. They don't want to be like forced into any mold or anything like that. They need to have that space and that room to really be their full self and evolve. I would say that for Aries too as well, and honestly the fire signs in its entirety. But yeah, so I've noticed that come through a lot. Like one day I want to dress so grunge and so masculine and like heavy makeup, and one day I want to be like all natural and like a fairy goddess, and then the next day I want to be like super feminine and slutty, and you know, like it's very different, you know. So not putting labels on myself is kind of how I have used my Aquarius Venus in my glamour magic. So play with yours, play with how it shows up for you, and it might not be like the color palette is your favorite. It might be something more nuanced, like my example. And like I said before, when we're looking at relationships, which I want to talk about next, we often look at like our sun sign, and that's not necessarily the most helpful thing to look at, because I think that our sun sign, it is like our basic self, like how we are, but we need to look at more. I think, like I said, we need to look at our Venus, our moon, and our Mars for sure. And this will show us kind of like how we really operate within a relationship. And so kind of like what I said before with the little introductions into each sign, like really think about how that relates to your love languages, what you need in a relationship, and honor that, you know, I think a lot of times we get into a relationship and we want to mold ourselves to work for that person. And like, that is just that's not the way to go, babe. Like, it's not the way to go. I promise that you can find somebody who will honor your needs. And, you know, you guys will probably, you're never going to have a perfect relationship. There's always going to be work that needs to be done. But it is like, it's easier when like you guys kind of fit better, if that makes sense. So an Aquarius Venus and a Pisces Venus would have a harder time than a Taurus Venus and a Pisces Venus. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like your relationship's doomed, you know what I'm saying? But there are better compatibilities. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. So with all of that, I hope that this helped you to see how your Venus sign shows up in your life and in your relationships, and maybe gives you a little something to think about when operating in relationships, and really just honoring your feelings. Like, your desires are valid and unique to you, and I think that in a healthy relationship we can be aware of our partner's needs and desires and work through that. And beyond relationships, hopefully this new knowledge of your Venus sign helps you to really see how maybe you can bring in pleasure to your life. Like for me, I need a lot of like educational fun. Like I need books. I need to let myself be weird and like not try to fit myself in any box, you know. I am definitely best, most creative, and most like in my pleasure when I allow myself to just exist and just be, and not put any hard constraints on myself. And yeah, I just feel like a flowy orb. Like, I don't feel like I, you know, need to fit in any specific container or label, you know. Like, I don't want to I mean, if you guys have seen like my Instagram bio, like I have way too many labels, too many like careers, too many things that I do to really condense who I am into like my Instagram bio, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, like I hope this gave you some clarity in your Venus sign and was fun for you. I also have 2 astrology readings on HeyHero and my full natal chart reading on my website that dive more into these things. So if you are more interested in finding out about yourself, how your chart tells your story, definitely check that out. My natal chart reading is on my website. I'll have it linked down below. And we dive into literally your entire chart and look at everything. And it's the most comprehensive and the most in-depth reading that I have. And then I have cosmic chemistry and your unique magnetism on HeyHero, which are more like budget-friendly level readings. They're quicker. They're like 15 minutes, whereas my website readings are an hour long. So definitely check out both if you are interested into and looking into either like your relationship or your own sign. So definitely check that out. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd encourage you to stick around. I've got tons more content for you here on the podcast and over on YouTube under my name, Luna Seranova. Make sure to follow me at Luna Seranova on Instagram for everyday witchy content. And if you'd like to share your support in a super easy and free way, go ahead and rate this podcast to let others know what you thought. My books are open for tarot and astrology readings. I've just released 2 new specialty readings, the Good Witch reading and the Bad Bitch reading, each to help you connect to your higher Good Witch, Bad Bitch self. Go ahead and check out my website for more details on that. And if you're ready to up your Good Witch, Bad Bitch game with a group of fun, supportive, and loving witchy friends, you should join my Moon Fam on Patreon, and you'll get access to our group chat on Discord, our book club, and other behind the scenes and exclusive content that you'll only get on Patreon. All right, love, I'll see you next time. Until then, go forth in your life with the power and love of the Good Witch, Bad Bitch.